Welcome, viewers, back to the adventures of the HSS Horus in Space Haven, where we join Emerson, Jimmy, Madelyn, and Tala, who are just waking up on game day 22. Last time we had begun exploring a derelict and did most of the mining of this Hyperium. We're going to continue today, starting out with Hyperium mining, hopefully. We're also going to finish building some interior walls and getting this grow room really populated with probably extra space and extra grow beds. Before we can do any of that, though, let's take a look at our heroes. See if they're suffering from any conditions or status effects we need to worry about. It looks like Emerson is doing fine. He's a bit lonely, but feeling fairly comfortable, and his overall mood is very high. Jimmy's mood is substantially lower because he appears to be suffering from minor discomfort, probably having spent quite a deal of time yesterday working in the horrible conditions in the resources area here, which are now some of the worst conditions on board the ship compared to the terrible comfort of the shuttle hangar, which is currently at negative 134. We have a near negative 300 comfort in some parts of this area. We will probably spend some time trying to improve the comfort of that area, but the rest of the ship overall is looking fairly good, so let's see if that doesn't improve by the end of the day, or end of the night, as it were. Madelyn is doing almost as good as Emerson. She was comforted yesterday, and she is suffering from low energy, having been injured after exploring the derelict, but she seems to be doing fine now. Taking a look at the relationships, the relationships with the rest of the crew continues to deteriorate. She's now at -9 with Emerson and Tala, and only as far as -7 with Jimmy. Tala's status, on the other hand, her overall mood is fairly good. She's also lonely, so it looks like all of the crew, except for Madelyn, interestingly, are suffering from loneliness. Madelyn, I guess, is too spiteful to be lonely. Taking a look at relationships, Emerson and Jimmy have a fairly thriving relationship, it looks like. Jimmy and Tala have a good relationship. Emerson and Tala not so much, and Madelyn and Tala not so much. So, unfortunately, our crew isn't pairing off into couples or anything, although it does look like Jimmy and Tala might be doing pretty well together. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see if this bad relationship that Madelyn is fostering with the rest of the crew doesn't get any worse. Not really sure what we can do other than possibly isolating her somehow from the rest of the crew if it really gets bad. But we shall see. In the meantime, taking a look at what jobs we have left today. We have started growing vegetables and some artificial meat in the tanks here. They did not finish building the second grow bed yet, nor did they finish enclosing this room off. My intention here, I think, is to make this a wall, another wall along here with a door in it opposite this one, which will let them get into this room. Having a wall here does give them complete access all the way around this grow bed, which honestly I don't think is that important, but just aesthetically it's more pleasing to me. So let's take a look at our wall situation. We do have an order to build that wall here, but we're going to add orders to build the rest of these walls. So this here, and again this here, and just taking a look, we don't have any infra blocks left, so we're going to wait until we have infra blocks before we add an order to build that door there. That gives us a nice corridor here, which is currently lit by one light at the end of it. This corridor, I think, is going to end up extending forward to what we should probably call like a command area here at the front of the ship. We shall see. I also wanted to get busy with making some weapons and protection of the ship, and if I do recall, last time we looked, we did see pirates encroaching rapidly, so I doubt if we have more than a day before the pirates get to us. Let's try and make sure that at least someone gets out and finishes the mining. So let's take a look at the priorities here. Let's boost Madelyn up so she does the mining, drop her maintenance down, maybe switch Tala up to maintenance today. We'll let Emerson handle the construction. We will let Jimmy handle the industry. I think that seems like a good set of priorities for the day. That should get us seeing Madelyn either handling the botany and then going mining, or possibly just go straight to mining, which looks like she's... It's hard to tell because she's heading to storage. Ah, no, she's going to head straight out to mining. Great. Madelyn's going to get the mining done. We're also going to take a look at what's left to transfer here. Not much left to transfer here. It would be nice to finish these transfers before the pirates come. Looks like Madelyn's going to do the mining. I'm going to try to minimize the amount of work we set for Jimmy, I think, who usually does transfers, and we will get him on doing the transfers while Madelyn finishes up the mining. So unbelievably, they've already finished building that wall I asked for. That was fantastically quick. Didn't even see it. Which, you know, leaves them just doing their routine tasks in here. If anybody goes idle, we're going to keep an eye on them, see if anybody goes idle. The next step, I guess, would be to move this out of here, but again, we have plenty of power from these two engines, so it's not quite time to build a third, although third is in the works. And just verifying that I did do the sizing, spacing down here right. Looks like looks like I kind of messed up. These engines may be a little too close together, so I could probably oh, never mind. I think I did it right, or maybe it's slightly asymmetric. So this will have one space to the left of it. I guess I left a path between those. Do you know I did it? I think if I put it here, then it's identically spaced to the other pair of engines, which means there's a kind of a small room to the left side, which means I'm off by one, but we may address that by shifting all the engines over to the left a little bit. I'm not sure how I feel about that right now. We will, in the meantime, start thinking about what it's going to take to make a shield generator. Just got an incoming ship warning. I don't think that was pirates. Good. Shield generator is going to take 7 infra blocks, 1 energy block. Right. Which reminds me, we did tell them to build this. This should be set up to be building hyperfuel. Let's just continuously build hyperfuel because I don't see any reason to not turn that Hyperium into hyperfuel. It's just so much more valuable. Looks like it takes 2 Hyperium to make 1 hyperfuel. Hyperium, we were seeing trades for around 500 for that, I believe. Let's see. Like the SGS Marconium here is offering Hyperium for 600, and I believe we were able to sell hyperfuel for around 1300 in past trades. So it looks like it might be break even if we bought Hyperium and turned it into hyperfuel. But I think a better is to mine it and then consider selling the hyperfuel, because I think we would make slightly more from hyperfuel than we would from Hyperium. In addition to hyperfuel, we're going to want to convert these energium. I'm not sure there's anything else. Let's just double check on the resources, make sure there's nothing else that uses either of those. Like for instance, the chemical, oops, Chemical refinery, I don't think, nope, doesn't appear to use any of that. Energy refiner does, but as far as we can tell, nothing else needs hyperfuel or hyperium or energium. Interesting, there's a new water collector that collects water from gas that's been added. And yeah, I don't see anything else that's using the energium. So we should also have this just do continuous production until it's used up all of its resources, and then we'll turn those off. That will give us quite a bit. Oh, actually, we don't have any energium, so might as well turn that off. That looks like it turns crystals into rods at 5 to 1. So that's we do have plenty of rods right now, but it is probably important for us to think about going and finding some more of that to mine. Okay, so it's refining hyperfuel. The next item on the agenda was, I believe, a self-user, where we needed rods plus electronic components to make energy cells. But no, wasn't it energy blocks ultimately that we wanted? I feel like I already had. No, that's right, we do want a self-user, but that's not of immediate importance. What we really want is a way to make energy blocks, which are made in the advanced assembler? Yes, we already have a way to make those. Okay, but we do need energy cells. I see. Okay, so we already have a way to make energy blocks in the advanced assembler, which is this one, I think. Yes. Let's make sure there's a job for doing that. We'll set the production requirement to hold 5 blocks as usual. It needs infra. Again, our infra blocks seem to begin to be a bottleneck here. Infras are here, and we're trying to acquire 10 infras and 10 hull. Short infra there, and this one is short because, or it's overloaded because it has too much things waiting for output. Okay. Interestingly, we can also make plastics. Now that we have chemicals, we should probably refine some plastics in order to make weapons later. We don't have any right now, so let's just try to boost our plastics production up to, say, 5. That's only going to take coal and the chemicals we're already making here. So we can produce plastics. Might also be wise to have a standing order for medicals, although look at that, our first need of fabrics there. Medical does need plastics, okay. We will add the order, but clear we don't actually need it right now because we have plenty of medical supplies. We'll also add a standing order for IV fluid. IV fluid, which takes chemicals, water, and fruit. Make sure we stay at 5 there. And then fertilizer. We can turn chemicals directly to fertilizer, but I only want to do that here if we're really running low on fertilizer. So let's make sure, just make sure this stays above 1 for now. We'll go revisit that if we need to. Just quickly checking all of our other refinements. We have plenty of soft blocks. I'm not going to worry about that one yet. It looks like we will need to eventually get some kind of cloth industry because we'll need bandages, maybe. It doesn't seem like we've really used those at a very high rate, though. Steel plates is doing fine. We are pretty good. We only have 7 base metals, so we'll probably want to find a source of those eventually. And then right now it really looks like infra blocks are our main bottleneck. Hull blocks, we're up to 10, so we're not going to be making any here for a while, so it should be able to churn out infra blocks. Alright, so that's the housekeeping done. Let's take a look at what everybody's doing. Make sure everybody's fully employed, has something done. Looks like Emerson's finishing mining for some reason. Looks like mining's done. Not sure why Emerson's out in the pod in that case. Maybe he was just helping Madelyn with the last mining because we didn't have anything else to do. And then it looks like Madelyn's going to go and finish the transfer there. Maybe. I'm not. There's actually nobody in that shuttle. Strange. The shuttle's coming back on its own, I guess. No, there's nothing in it. Alright, well. A new ship, the CS Rabin Victor, has entered the sector, so we're going to check out their trade offers. Ah, look at that. For example, 1429 for hyperfuel, and we did just make them. So let's actually sell them a hyperfuel. Maybe buy a few of their metals, but it doesn't really look like we'll need much more than that. But maybe if we sold them 2 of these, that's actually quite a few credits we can get from them. They don't have a lot to pay us with, so we're gonna maybe sell just 1 of those. Take all of their credits plus whatever hyper fuel we can get. Look at that, comes out to exactly even. So we will do that trade. Oh, I see. It's exactly even because it subtracted some credits from the trade. So that lost us hyper fuel, but got us a handful of metals. So that was our first profitable trade there. Taking a look just one last time at this derelict to see what's left to transfer. Nobody's actually made it over there today, so take a look at the priorities and see why that's not happening. I'm guessing that's going to be a logistics task. So we're done mining here. So let's get Madelyn out to finish logistics and see if that gets her on the shuttle. Alright, well, she's at least transferring stuff out of the shuttle. Alright, back to what we can build next. Quickly forgetting, we do have, I guess, even though we don't have the Hyperion, it might make sense to stick this order in here just so I don't forget in the future. Leave this at 5. And then I believe we're making energy blocks here. Great. So energy blocks were our bottleneck. Energy blocks around and infra blocks were our bottleneck for making shields. Shields need 1 energy block, or 1 extra more energy block than we have. So as soon as we get to 5, that'll be cleared, and this needs 6 more infra, so we don't quite have enough. I'm going to hold off adding that door until we have enough infra block to cover shields. So, but maybe it makes sense to start walling things off in here and organizing this area better. Let's take a look. All right, so this is not a very efficient layout in general, just because of how I've managed to do it. If we look at these things, they all have a footprint, right? So item fabricator is not a very good example because it's tiny. Tiny, and probably something we should make in order to get these people some better weapons. And we're only missing an infra block, so that's also something to start prioritizing. But like energy refiner here, this thing is rather large, being 4x4, which is what we stuck in this corner here. Sorry, 3x3 with a 1 square walkway in front of it. Likewise, the energy generator here was 4x3, and then we have a path here, whoops, between these 2 items. It would probably be wise to shift everything up that way, but then that's going to start running into constraining our space up there. The reason I was considering shifting that was because then I could build a wall here and start just partitioning everything off. Let's take a look at how the hull was going to be constructed. So honestly, thinking about it, it might just make more sense to dedicate this entire area to resources and just start partitioning these things off one at a time. So each one is in its own dedicated room, and just shift them out of the way as we need to do that. And once we've done that, then start worrying about the space requirements for the shields. So let's start looking at that. I'm going to start building walls around things. Keep the layout as close to how it is right now. Maybe spread things out slightly as we go. I don't want to really make this ship any wider, but there's nothing forcing us to put the shields right here like I was planning. We can always extend this direction. I think the width is actually pretty decent for here. So we do have room here to put a wall and a door. So if we put a wall here, leaving a doorway there, I'd want to move this out of the way. So looking at that, yeah, so I really need to just start moving things this direction just to give us much more space in the meantime. That's not a terrible idea right now, because this guy here making steel plates is idle. And if we take a move order and look at it, hold on, let me turn off the refinery. If we look at this, we really want this wall down here to come out to this point where it is, one more out, and then across, leaving this walk space in front of it. So assuming the footprint of one of these items needs the space around it plus extra space for a wall, right? That means this thing should shift over to the left, and then these two, and all of these should shift over at least one. So if this first one shifts over to the left and one, right, then that means this thing should shift over to the left at least two, which means this one here should really shift at least three from where it is. So like 1, 2, 3 puts it there at least. So let's put this one there for now, thinking we'll probably have to move it again. But the nice thing about moving this one first is that it's idle at the moment, so we don't really have to be concerned with interrupting its production. Plus, since it has a refinery queue in it, that's nice to know. If they move it, does this queue get cleared? And I suspect it does. So I want to know before we move things if I'm going to have to remember to reset the queue every time they clear. All right, so that ends the day for the first shift of this episode today. They did not manage to transfer anything out of this derelict, so I have a feeling we're just going to have to abandon the stuff that's on that derelict because it looked like those pirates are probably considering jumping into the sector that we're in. Ah, no, the pirates are gone. Okay. Well, the pirates are gone. So, never mind. We'll just take a look and see what happens tomorrow. I just spend the day tomorrow probably shuffling items in here and building walls. And hopefully getting the rest of the items transferred off that derelict. Okay, so in addition to moving that, I'd also like to consider walls. So the ideal wall situation here is that there's a wall here. Did I not tell them to build there? I did, okay. The wall here that extends to this point, goes around here, and let's just put a door in the center hole for now. Although, probably a terrible idea to wall this off before we move that, so let's cancel that one. Cancel this one. Build a wall here. Alright, we'll eventually build a wall here also. This we will want to move. We're making electronics components there. I'm going to want to move this. I suppose it can be against the wall of the room that it's going to be in. If I move it here, I think that actually simplifies things a lot because with it there, just over one, that, oh, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense because there's no way to get into this room then. So I do want to move it over this way and at least one out to leave a way to get in this room. Or just equally viable, I could leave this as an open corridor, move it to the right, have a wall here. That actually starts to sound feasible. Boy, maybe this game might be a lot easier if you just plotted all of this stuff out on graph paper in advance, kind of knowing how big the footprints of everything are. So maybe I do that in between episodes and really come up with kind of an ideal layout for this instead of mucking around with it so much here. Let's do that. Let's cancel that move. In fact, let's even cancel this move because unless that move already started. Yeah, that move didn't start. Good. Okay, so we can cancel both of those moves. Start with that wall there. And then just gonna come back and consider how to lay out this whole area just more efficiently and intelligently with compact designs and preferably like one room per item. Okay, in the meantime, let's take a look how everybody did during the day. As predicted, everybody is going to have, at least Tala is going to have an uncomfortable environment flag because of being in the uncomfortable environment. Uh-oh, Tala also was rejected, which is making her rather unhappy. I wonder what this really means. Madelyn got comfort, whereas Tala got rejected. I wonder who's rejecting Tala, because the only one she really likes, if we look at her conditions, Jimmy's the only one who she likes. So is Jimmy rejecting Tala's advances? He likes Tala, but he likes Emerson more. And there's nothing here indicating any negative reaction toward Tala or any weird condition. So it's really hard to say who did the rejection of Tala there. I'm gonna have to go back and review. Maybe we caught the conversation on camera. Madelyn got comforted and thanked. So even though she was comforted and thanked by someone, her relationships with Emerson and Tala, Emerson stayed the same. Tala got even worse. Jimmy stayed the same. So again, not looking too great there. I don't like the fact that this whole piece never got finished here either. I think that's just because when you have a single piece of hull sticking out like that, the game doesn't finish it. So I'm gonna tell them to do that. Hold on, let's not dig into that wall there. I'm gonna tell the game to do that. Hopefully that is if I do it like that. I'm not sure, maybe it needs to be 3 wide to get the build there, we'll see. But it's not gonna cost, that's only gonna take one whole block, so that's not gonna be too much of an expenditure. We do want to think about extending this wall out here also. And what I'm hoping with that whole construction there is that either Emerson or Madelyn's going to go out and do the construction while the other one of them is going to take the shuttle to the derelict and finish the transfers. Turning on the walls, it does look like probably time to start thinking about wall decoration, especially in this area here where I've just kind of haphazardly added wall types. Wall decoration seems to be pretty straightforward. I think you just click the customize room look button and say like, here's what the room looks like. For example, we might make the shuttle bay look fairly industrial, although that looks more like command room walls to me for some reason. And this looks more like living quarter or medical rooms. I think there's also a whole slew of them up here, yes. It also customizes the floor, although it's very hard to see from these pieces that they're showing you here. There. For some reason, that customized everything. Okay, so that's kind of a padded wall look with a grainy floor versus this one, which just touches the wall, not the floor. So maybe we can pick the floor from this tile and then use this one to change the walls. Yes. All right, let's do that. If I liked this floor, let's go in here, get this place. Actually, I like that for their living quarters. There's some nice books over there. Keep that in here also. This big industrial area we can make look very industrially right now. And then for these areas, let's throw in the non-gridded kind of machinery looking. We are getting a critical resources low message on water. Okay. Well, that's frightening. Let's take a look at what the water situation is. 4. Okay, well, that's not too terrible. We did move this water refinery, though, and I bet it's because we moved it. Yeah, it's... So there's a clue. We moved that water refinery. We have plenty of ice. We moved that water refinery and never reset the order, so it's notifying us of that. And look at this. We have a nice wall around this room now, which probably isn't going to have any effect whatsoever except make it harder to get in there right now. Let's take a look and see if anyone's... Okay, so Emerson's going out to do the whole building. And nobody is doing the shuttle work. Maybe Tala was. Nope, nobody's in the shuttle. Why is the shuttle moving around? Did it finish the trade? Is that what happened there? Let's see if we can take a look at it. I guess it's already dumped off its inventory, so that's not going to be... We're not going to be able to tell what's happening there. I guess with Hyperity on logistics, she's really just going to be moving stuff around internally of the ship. Not really what I hoped. So what is the priority that controls whether or not they go and gathers resources off of a derelict? Not quite sure. I guess it doesn't really matter. The resources there, while it would be nice to get the food and the fuel rods, we're not really particularly hurting for any of the resources that are on there, so it might just make sense to get ready to jump to a new sector and get the Hyperium from that mine that we saw nearby. Let's take a look. Emerson is still in the pod. It looks like both pods are out right now, which is interesting. Jimmy is in the other one. Not sure what he's doing. Says he's constructing, so both of them must have been out there working on that last whole bit, and it looks like they finished the whole work that I asked them to, but it still wasn't enough to make this strange little glitchy part go away, so I'm going to build that one more out. Cancel these two here, because I don't want them to just destroy that wall. And let's see if that takes care of that little glitched area. Meanwhile, the shuttle keeps docking at the airlock for unknown reasons. Okay, so we have all walls show like visible walls, I guess, that we could see from this angle. This one seems to be only exterior walls. And this one is no walls, which is kind of easier to navigate around with the no walls view on. It does look like we managed to break through this wall here, unfortunately. So maybe it's worth making sure they're doing this build here. Indeed, and we'll build interior walls there. Wonder if I can set a build order for those walls when the hull isn't fully constructed under them. Nope. At least oxygen doesn't drain out. Speaking of oxygen and the environment, let's take a quick look at the environment here. Plenty of oxygen in this room. It's a different color, but pretty much the same amount in all the other rooms. Oh, except for the wall itself. Okay, the walls itself don't show us having any oxygen. Great. CO2 in the environment is safe. There is no hazardous smoke or gas. High water vapor. So we could probably install the dehumidifier, which collects water vapor out of the air, turns it into water. If this water refiner doesn't, they never put ice blocks in this for some reason. This one is just showing vents, so all of our rooms are vented. Shows outlines of isolated areas, shows available jobs, quality or comfort, temperature, and power situation. One thing I didn't really think of was if we do move this, we want to make sure that this tile stays on the power tile and that we don't end up blocking that door. Although we have 2 doors here, so we can always get rid of one of those. They did finish this grow bed, so it's probably a good time to actually insert things to grow in here. This one was 1 fruit, 2 vegetables, 1 fiber, 1 meat. The other one we're going to make 2 fruits, 2 vegetables, and 1 meat. And honestly, 2 giant grow beds might be enough in here. We might just throw in a wall here. Let's see how we're doing for food and meat. All right, we do not have any excess whatsoever of food consumables. So far it seems to be they've been subsisting pretty much on space food that we've found in derelict. There are probably food items in here. Yes, so there are vegetables in here which they can use to make these more palatable processed food. Which artificial meat really seems to be the best for protein and fat, but fruit and vegetables gives you more carbs and vitamins. So it seems like you really want a good mix of all 3 of those, which I think is what we'll achieve if we have these grow beds. Might make sense just to have more so we can develop an excess. So I think that's going to be the long-term plan, is just extend this room slightly, get more grow beds. It looks like our whole building is doing great on this side. That's going to give us a lot more room. Take a look at what the hull looks like throughout. Just try to remember if we're symmetric here. Yep, it's looking great. It might actually be time to start extending this way. Let's build that missing wall, or pair of walls here. Before I forget that. And then let's think about extending the hull on this side of the ship, since we are kind of in the hull building mode. Just checking how many. On second thought, before we do that, the problem with extending the hull is because of our standing order of making hull blocks in this refiner, I believe. The advanced assembler. No. This one. The regular assembler. Regular assembler is making both infra and hull blocks. Wow, and they are rapidly draining their water supply, so interesting. Hopefully somebody takes care of that. I'd rather not run out of water in the apparent abundance of water we've currently got. Okay, so they're making infra blocks in the hull. I don't really want to build the hull until this infra block backlog is finished, because I want them to concentrate on making infra blocks. Still doesn't look like anything is happening on the shuttle, even though somebody's finally in it. Emerson is finally in the shuttle. And it looks like he's heading over to that derelict to transfer items. That's good. Alright, day 23. That does look like they're going to finish transferring items from this derelict. Let's just take a look at that. Make sure we're transferring things intelligently. Honestly, we could probably leave that space food behind. But I'm not gonna adjust it right now. It looks fine to me. Everybody else is finishing the work in this room here, which is continuing to make them miserable, but they're getting it done. There are a couple barrels of water there sitting outside of the water unit, so it does look like they're producing that at least. I don't think we have anything to worry about as far as water goes. Water number did go up. And it does look like they started the planting there, which is fantastic. So again, ultimate goal is to get enough infra blocks to make a shield generator. Second, after shield generator, is going to be an energy turret. Energy turret needs 3 additional infra blocks. So notice these system items, well, these 3. Yeah, just those 3. So these 3 system items, scanner, energy turret, shield generator. In addition to their normal build cost, they also have this system point. System points are here, and we have 14 out of 16, meaning we've already used 2 system points. Not sure what we've used those on. Ah, the whole stabilizer takes 2. So that's another thing to be aware of. We currently have 16, we've used 2, that means we have 14 left. Everything here uses 2, so that means we can have 7 more total of these items. I'm thinking 2 shield generators at least. 2 energy turrets, that's 4. Not sure if we need more hull stabilizers. Hull stabilizer reinforces the spaceship's frame. So I think these actually amount to being your ship's hit points, if I understand this correctly. Yes, multiple stabilizers can work in unison. So we probably want at least 1 more of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, that's 5. A scanner, that's 6. And probably a 3rd energy turret just to give us some armament. That's probably the arrangement that I will end up with. The hull stabilizers I will probably move into this room here to leave room for our extra engine. The medical bay needs to be walled off or moved. The tool facility could probably be moved over here somewhere. Oxygen generator, gas scrubber, I'd like these to be centrally located in the ship. So pretty much where they are, maybe along this wall down here, makes more sense. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So as they finish their jobs for the day, let's take a look at Emerson doing work on this derelict here. He's got a bunch of stock piled up, ready to get back. Not really doing any salvage, despite there probably being a good deal of energy blocks, seeing how big that generator is there. Yeah, energy scrap would be quite high. Rest of the ship, not so much. I guess we could get infra scrap. But honestly, not really worth doing the salvage. It seems to be way less time consuming just to go and mine what you need to get the infra. As a reminder to myself mostly, let's take a look. Infra blocks, their main component is electronics and steel. To do steel, that involves mining coal and metal. electronic components are produced here, and that requires noble and base metals also. So it would be nice to find more metal asteroids to bump those numbers up a bit, but honestly, we're doing great in that department right now. Seems like the main thing we are currently missing is fabrics, possibly infrablocks. Look at that, this thing is pumping out the water. Looks like our water supply needs have been met. We have absolutely plenty of carbon, fairly good amount of base and noble metals, limited amount of fibers, and no way to process those fibers into cloth, which the only use I can see for that is really the bandages in the medical supplies. Plastics, we already have one plastic, so another resource we're going to want to build sooner rather than later is this item fabricator. Pretty much the item fabricator, possibly eventually the microweaver, and the cell fuser. Not sure why we don't have the cell fuser yet. That is probably something to think about doing. Taking a look at the amount of energy cells we have. It's because we have so many energy cells, I haven't really been that worried about it. That's going to be worth doing though, so let's throw that in here just for fun. Let me stick it here. What is that going to cost us? Yeah, one more infrablock than we need. That's probably why I was holding off, huh? Because it takes up 2 infrablocks, and for some reason we only have 1 right now. What are we doing that's consuming infrablocks? We are doing something that is considered... No, we have 3. Why does it say we don't have enough then? Oh, that was to make an additional one. We don't have enough. Okay. So we have enough to make this. We don't technically need it, and I'd rather get some emergency shielding going. So we will revisit that soon enough. For now, though, our assembler continues to crank out whole blocks and infrablocks slowly, strongly considering a second assembler just because the rate at which this thing produces seems to be really slow. I'm not sure if it's a limitation of the machine or the people operating the machine. Infrablocks need electronics, and they just takes them a long time to transfer electronics from this machine to the other one. Although they have plenty of metals in there to make more electronics. It's a complicated system. Alright, Emerson is on break. Just got out of his spacesuit though. Looks like he's gonna have to skip his meal tonight as he runs out of time for break time and just wants to hit the sack, get in bed. He's only a little hungry. That'll get him through the night. He'll be able to pick up breakfast in the morning. His overall mood is great. I think overall we're doing pretty well. Nobody got down. Tala got a little low. Primarily because she keeps getting rejected. She made a move on her crush and they rejected me. This sucks. I'm guessing her crush is Jimmy. He's the only one she likes. Jimmy is just this old guy who really doesn't like Tala. Although, looking at them, oh, that's Madelyn. Tala's this lady. Madelyn's over there. It looks like Emerson and Jimmy are both old dudes. They're just bearded. I guess they're not necessarily old. To me, the pixels look like they have gray hair and a beard. So I'm gonna call them old. They're pretty old. Jimmy has bad memories of past relationships and just doesn't want to start a relationship with Tala, so he keeps telling her no. Plus the fact that they're all sleeping in one room doesn't give them much privacy on the ship, so he's a sensible old coot and doesn't really want to do anything that might further impact his relationship with Madelyn, and he doesn't want to create any strange situation with Emerson being the only other man on the ship. Emerson hasn't really told Jimmy that he doesn't really have designs on Madelyn or Tala. It just has never come up yet. So we'll see how the relationships progress as the days grow on. I would really like to get these people move into a more interesting location, so I think we're going to skip the rest of this salvage tomorrow. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we'll finish the salvage tomorrow. It just looks like that one info block is too tempting. we'll let that happen tomorrow. In the meantime, this has been another episode of Space Haven. I am Corknut, and I thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series, and if you are, please feel free to leave a like or a comment. Let me know how you think we should progress this series. Let me know if there's anything that I'm missing or doing that you think I could do better. Or just, chat and say hi, and I'd really appreciate it. Take care, and thanks again for watching.